Wiener in the decipherment of the Olmec and Mayan writing. There are many researchers that have contributed to the decipherment of the Olmec and Maya writing. Two of the most important researchers to influence this decipherment was Constantine Rafinesque and Leo Wiener. In this video, Dr. Winters will discuss this important part of American history. Dr. Winters has written an important book called Atlantis in Mexico. In Atlantis in Mexico, Dr. Clyde Winters examines the rise of the Olmec in Africa and their migration and settlement of Mexico. You can read more about the Olmec in Dr. Clyde Winters' Atlantis in Mexico. You can order the book at lulu.com. Many of the Mayan books no longer exist today. They no longer exist because of the Spanish conquistadors and other Spanish explorers. Led by Diego Landa, many of the Mayan books have been burnt. The burning of these books have wiped away much of the history of the Mayan people. Although many of these books were burned, we have three codices written by the Maya that allow us to gain keen insight into Mayan history. One of the most important people to really help break the Mayan code was Dr. Constantine Rafinesque. By 1832, Rafinesque noted the similarities between the Mayan glyphs and the Libico-Berber writing. And Leo Wiener was the first researcher to recognize the resemblances between the Manding writing and the symbols on the Tuxtla statuette. In addition, Harold Lawrence noted that the petroglyphic inscriptions found throughout much of the southern hemisphere compared identically with the writing systems of the Mandi or Manding people of West Africa. Rafinesque published an important paper on the Mayan writing that helped in the decipherment of the Olmec writing and Mayan writing. Rafinesque, in the second letter to Mr. Champollion on the graphic systems of America and the glyphs of Ololum, Mayan of Palenque in Central America, elements of the glyphs. Dr. Rafinesque published this article in the Atlantic Journal, Volume 1, Issue 2, pages 44 through 45. Rafinesque looked at Palenque and he noticed this was a very tremendous site. At Palenque, we find many Mayan inscriptions, and these Mayan inscriptions allowed Rafinesque to discover the unique characteristics of the Mayan writing. In this paper, Rafinesque discussed the fact that when the Mayan glyphs were broken down into their constituent parts, they were analogous to the ancient Libico-Berber writing of Africa. The Libico-Berber writing could not be read in either Berber or Tuareg, even though these people used an alphabetic script similar to the Libico-Berber script, which was a syllabic writing system. This was an important article by Dr. Rafinesque because it offered the possibility that the Mayan signs could be read by comparing them to the Libico-Berber symbols. This was not a far-fetched idea because we know for a fact that the cuneiform writing was used to write 4 different languages: Sumerian, Hittite, Assyrian, and Akkadian. These new Mayan hieroglyphs that are seen were discovered and inscribed on the walls of the Pyramid of Palenque, also called the Temple of Inscriptions. Palenque is in modern-day Chiapas, Mexico. These hieroglyphics read, "Living like kings in Mexico," and were inscribed on the inner walls of the Temple of Palenque in AD 719. Rafinesque also discovered the Mayan numerals. He recognized that the dots represented ones and the bars represented 5. These discoveries by Rafinesque led to later decipherments of the Mayan writing. Here's an ancient Saharan inscription some archaeologists claim is 3,000 years old. This inscription from Oued Mertatek contains many symbols we find on the Valle Salabri, which provides a key to reading the thousands of inscriptions engraved on rocks throughout the Sahel, Sahara, and West Africa. And these inscriptions were also taken to America by the Olmec people, and they used this writing to inscribe many of their artifacts. Some researchers refuse to date the Libico-Berber inscriptions earlier than 700 BC because the Semitic alphabet was not used until around 800 BC. They claim that Libico Berber cannot be any older than 800 BC because the Semitic alphabet is supposed to be the parent of the Libico Berber writing. This is a false analogy. Firstly, this view has to be rejected because the Libico Berber script includes many signs which are different from the Semitic scripts. Although these signs are not found in the Berber alphabet, they are found in the Indus Valley, Linear A, and Egyptian pottery signs. The Ued-Mertetek inscriptions probably date back to the 3rd millennium BC. Two factors dispute Wilson's dating of the Ued-Mertetek inscriptions. Number one, the archaeological evidence, which has pushed back the dating of Libico-Berber inscriptions to between 300 and 700 BC, and two, the dating of the Horse period in Saharan history to 1500 BC rather than 500 to 600 AD. The dating of the Horse period in Sahara is now probably pushed back to 1500 BC. This makes the Mertetek Wet inscription very important and also representative of the ancient Libico writing, a writing that Rafinesque used to decipher the Olmec, the Mayan writing. Leo Wiener in Africa and Discovery of America made a startling discovery. In Africa and the Discovery of America, Leo Wiener noticed that many of the religious, cultural, and other terms used by the Mayans and Aztec people were derived from the Mandi people of West Africa. Leo Wiener in Africa, the Discovery of America suggested that the Olmec probably used a Mandi writing system. Dr. Wiener, after comparing the writing on the Tushla statuette, and found it analogous to Mandine writing engraved on the rocks in Mandiland. Leo Wiener and Lawrence maintained that the Olmec writing was identical to the Mandi writing used in Africa. Here's the Tushla statuette. This statuette is of Tutu. He was a ruler of the Olmec people. When Leo Wiener looked at this statuette, he immediately recognized that the signs on the statuette resembled signs also used by the Mandi people of West Africa. These signs were engraved on many of the rocks in the Saharan and near many of the Mandi habitation sites. Here we can see a comparison of some of the signs that Leo Wiener noticed that the Mandi had written that also appear on the Tushla statuette. It is clear from this short video that the work of Leo Wiener and Constantine Rafinesque has made startling facts that show that the Mayan writing was invented by African people. This writing allows us to find considerable insight into Mayan and Olmec civilization.